What's happening, everybody? Doug, I went ahead and hit live. We hit the 8
There you go.
All right. Welcome.
Welcome to the Big Blue House. Mr. Chicagoland Softwash being the first one in tonight.
Tommy, welcome, buddy. Hope you're still there. Man, sir, feels like we haven't done this in a minute. So
it has been a more than a minute, right? Yeah. So what we've been 3 weeks out. 4 weeks.
Yeah, well, you had Todd on while we were in Tahoe, and then Christmas and New Year, and
yeah, exactly. It's just. But you know what? So first, let's start off saying Happy New Year, man. I hope this year brings a lot of blessings to a lot of people. That's some of what we're not going to talk about tonight. I mean, Gold Rush stuff. I mean,
it's going to be a good talk. Unfortunately, well, it is. I mean, because we want to give some great ideas. I think.
And I had a phone conversation this evening with a very good friend that talking about this exact same thing. So, we're definitely starting to see. I do want to say the end of the gold rush, or what we should be seeing, and more the. I'd almost say there's a lot of dream rush. I think we're ending part of the gold rush, and we're entering the dream rush, or people are realizing that the dream that they're being sold isn't quite there.
Possibly so, but people are still buying that dream too. I mean,
right.
I had two on Thursday of last week. And it's funny we're talking about the gold rush. I still remember whenever we did our big sanitizing tour, it would have been 2 years ago, and I went and did like 14 states and in 10 days with Paul and Tim. And I remember doing it because Paul and Tim were laughing at me because I was outside the hotel and I never published it, but I was doing a video doing gold. There's gold in them there hills. And talking about what the guys were selling out there, and that was 2 full years ago at this point, I think.
Getting very close.
Kind of scary, and they've not stopped selling those dreams out there, and guys, also, if y'all are making comments on other forums, understand we don't typically see every comment out here. We don't get a good true live count of who all's here. So best I can say, if we're not answering your question, if you're in one of the forums and you're asking a question, you might want to bounce over to either my page or Doug's page and ask it there. And we may see it because we are we're not always going to see every comment that gets made in every forum out there.
Yeah. So a couple things on that. We're broadcasting on 5 different things. So depending on which one, that's why we see a lot of them that'll say Facebook user to us. You might see your name on there, but we see Facebook user, so we don't even know who it is, and then we don't see all of the comments. But while we're saying that, we would definitely appreciate some likes, some thumbs ups, and some all of that kind of stuff.
Feel free to share it and all that good stuff.
Sharing it out.
Mr. Michael just had a great checkup, I understand. So congratulations.
Which is awesome.
Here's a great example. Facebook user. Hey, y'all. And hey, Facebook user. I have no idea who that is, and I hate that.
I wonder, though, you're putting it up there and it's showing as Facebook user. I see it as Facebook user. You see it as Facebook user. But I wonder if the person sees it as Facebook.
I don't know, but that's just Corey Sanders. Yep, we see this one.
Ah, there you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason, hope you're doing well. Charlie's living the dream. Charlie is living the dream. I am so proud of Charlie. He's awesome.
And Charlie's opening up. Did you already open up your second location down south there somewhere?
They are working. I mean, Charlie, that's funny. Of all the amazing people that I know, Charlie is actually the first international washer.
International superstar.
With companies on 2 separate continents. So put that. I've got to address this with what Steven just said. So, and I don't mean any offense whatsoever to Simpson pressure washers. We sell them. I mean, Simpson has actually stepped up in a big way with their double, 2-cylinder 6-700 series in a big way whenever Honda just kind of left the market just dead in the water. So I don't mean a negative connotation to the Simpson. Whenever I'm talking about the guys with the Simpson, I'm typically talking about a small little Honda or a Simpson like 200 class with a little tiny bitty AAA pump. And again, no insult whatsoever.
It's good for what it's designed for.
It's good for what it's designed for.
Right.
What it's not designed for is to run a professional long-term soft washing, pressure washing business. And if you go out onto YouTube, you keep seeing, oh, can you make $500 an hour? And for all you guys that don't know us, I want y'all to do this simple little math test here. If I can make $500 an hour.
I only have to work 1 hour a week, 1 hour a day.
Yeah. But if I'm making $500 an hour, if I'm only going to work 5 hours a day, that's $2,500 a day, right? 5 days a week is $12,500. If I work $12,500 a week, if I sat there and did that for 50 weeks a year, I'm going to make over $600,000. So you're telling me that with a $1,000 Home Depot, Lowe's, big box store pressure washer that I can on the reg do over $600,000 a year?
You can't even do over. I would venture to say you can't even do over 100.
Show me the guy. I'm serious. Let's put a bet up. Somebody show me. Name the amount. Show me your QuickBooks. Show me a verified thing where one guy and one pressure washer is doing $600,000 a year. We'll go 5 figures on the bet. I'm serious.
This is not going to happen.
Bull crap. It's not happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's too much of the, and that's where I think that, we titled this the gold, is the gold rush going to be over with? Is the pressure washing gold rush over? And I think that because we've seen such an influx of people into this industry, and I can tell you right now how many times I can't tell you how many times I've had the conversation with people about, man, residential is just drying up. We're seeing posts about, I know of 5 people, I can say confidently at least 5, but maybe closer to 10 posts that I've seen out there of guys that were looking for regular 9-to-5 jobs to make it through the winter that you didn't normally see. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's all good. Sometimes they're doing it because they just want to, whatever. But it seems to be a very much so a big uptick in that because that gold rush is kind of ending in a way.
Right. So, there's a comment here. The guy selling the shovels and the pans made most of the money during the gold rush. Not much changes. And that is
absolutely true.
100% right.
And that's where, look, I'm just going to be honest with you all. That is where Ray and I go wrong. Okay. I'm going to tell you, Ray and I aren't selling now Ray does have a power wash store, but he's not selling the picks and shovels, the gold rush thing, right? That's not what's happening. So that's something that we just don't do. It's something we've never believed in. And maybe we should have taken advantage of people, because I think that's what a lot of that is. But it's just not who we are.
I mean, we've never gone out there and pushed the Spray Wash Pro. We've never pushed the Plant and Property going, hey, if you do this, you're going to get rich and famous and successful. No, we're going to give you tools to go out there and use your business. And I still don't want to turn this into like we never do, a commercial for those things, and now me owning a power wash store has given me such a unique perspective because, Doug, as I was telling you in the pregame, I've seen this year, last year and part of this year, 30 to 40 guys come in my little Tallahassee market, and they're all carrying probably the only thing worse than somebody who buys an online course and thinks they're going to be extremely wealthy and fantabulous is a guy that just watches the YouTube videos and says, I don't need that course and I'm going to be wealthy and fantabulous. Because I'm seeing guys coming in here and then they look at hey, well, how much? Oh, that's a good looking machine right there. And they look at a Honda 390 skid with a 5.5, belt drive on there. And they're telling me, "You're going to bed, buddy. I love you."
Good night, Mr. Finn.
Say good night. We're live. Love you, buddy. And they're like, "Well, how much is that?" It's like, "Oh, about $2,500." And they look at me like I've got a third eye, and I'm trying to rip them off and going, $2,500. I only paid $900 for my pressure washer, and I guarantee you it does everything. And I'm thinking, dude, you don't even understand. This has got a pump that's the size of a bigger than a loaf of bread, and you've got a fist-sized pump on your machine. I mean, there's major differences. They don't understand unloaders. They don't understand. A great example. I had a landscaper the other day that came in, and he was pricing out equipment. And whenever, it got up where he was going to be paying $8,000-9,000, for stuff, he's like, "Well, that's just ridiculous, because I'm making $100 an hour right now with my machine that's out there." We talked about it, and I said, "You're making $100 an hour." I said, "For what's that $100? Well, I do driveways in Southwood. It's a neighborhood we have. I get $100 a driveway." I said, "It takes you an hour, right?" "Yep." "Okay, let's talk about this." I said, "Seriously, I'm not trying to embarrass you. I'm not trying to sell you, because I don't care if you buy something or not. I really don't. Y'all know my situation. I don't care. This is more fun for me. But I said, it takes you 1 hour to wash that driveway. From the time you pull up to the time you leave, whenever you drag that machine out of your landscaping trailer and you hook up your garden hose and you uncoil your well, no, it takes us about an hour to wash the driveway." And I said, "Okay, so setting up, what's that taking you?" Well, and it turns out that he's 2 hours at a house there for these driveways. And I said,
"Time it takes to get there, the time that it takes to set your hoses up, the time that it takes to do the job, time that it takes to pull everything down, time it takes to get to the next job."
Right. I said, "You're at $50 an hour." I said, "Look, I used to work in that same neighborhood, and we had a minimum call out of 150 for those 0 lot line driveways. And it really and truly took us about 45 minutes from pull up to pull out if we were lollygagging." I said, "So you're not, here's a classic mistake of so many business guys. You're not making $100 an hour whenever it takes you 2 hours to do that job. You're making $50 an hour,
And that's not including all of your expenses and the things that you do have to do, even if you're a self-employed person where you don't have the extra expenditures that are out there. You still have the fuel to and from the jobs. You still have the O-rings that bust out. You still have the hose that's going to blow. You still have the tips that you have to replace. You still have the bar that gets bent. All of these things that add up to a business. And I can't remember who it was that had just put it up there that, by the time this was over with, I do think we're going to see the true professionals make it through this. Ray and I were talking pregame, and I think that one of two things: either this year there's just going to be a lot of death and destruction, or there's going to be a lot of uprising. There's going to be a lot of good stuff happen. I think there's going to be, death and destruction, maybe not the right words, but I think you're going to see a lot of the gold rush thing running out. And you're going to see more people looking for actual jobs or trying to recover and sell their equipment, that sort of thing.
I literally had a guy come in today, and he's a great guy. And he just told me that he took a job at one of the car dealerships, and he's got a good little gig out there. But he's like, yeah, and he goes, and honestly, it was more his mismanagement of money than it was his. But he said January's been slow. Hadn't done a job yet in January. But he had a rock in December, and he did Christmas lights and things like that. And Jeff, I don't know if I said hey to you, so I hope you're doing well. Perry Tate is on from Vietnam. Good morning.
Good morning, Vietnam. There you go.
Oh Lord! Oh, look, there's one of the YouTube gurus right there. And y'all know that Bobby is one of my closest friends. I love Bobby to death. I don't count, but ironically,
Bobby who?
Oh, the goofy, the Stone Cold Bobby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Bobby's not one of the guys that's actually mentioned. There's 5 people that are mentioned. I'm not going to mention their names here, but 5 guys that are typically mentioned whenever guys that are coming in and telling me how they're going to take over the industry and make hundreds of thousands of dollars.
But you know why Bobby's name isn't mentioned?
Because Because he tells you have to go out and work.
Because he tells you the truth. Yeah.
There's accountability out there. Yeah.
He's one of the good ones that will tell. He's not going to blow smoke. He's going to tell you the truth.
That would be hilarious, Stephen. Just go. That would, oh God, we call it Simpson pressure washing too.
There you go.
You know, where I was going, and I told this to Stephen today, and I said, you know, who would, if you're doing $600,000 a year on that, $550 a year, why would you be out there just saying, oh, you can do this? Why wouldn't you go and send one guy to Atlanta, Georgia, one guy to Jacksonville, Florida, one guy to Mobile, Alabama, one guy to Pensacola, Florida, right there? And why not make
Istanbul, Turkey, everywhere
on that? Because I guarantee you're not selling that much education out there. So it's not, you're not doing it. I'm sorry.
It is the difference between yesterday and today. And what I mean is that like we never sold the dream, so to speak, right? And we all can have the dreams, and you know, and you strive for your dreams, but we're not out there selling the dream. And I think that's the key point today. A lot of guys are we're spending way too much time on Facebook, YouTube, just the internet in general.
Yeah. And
they're totally envisioning the dream. There are some great new programs out there. I've watched some of them myself. I'm trying to think of the name of one that he goes out and he interviews. He just did an interview with Brandon Vaughn. He goes out and he interviews startup type businesses and all that. And it's a great show. I love to watch it, but it really is. It's about the dream. And too many people are getting carried away with the dream and not realizing, hey, I got to get out of bed. If I want that dream to work, I got to get out of bed. And I don't think that that's today's entrepreneur doesn't want to get out of bed.
Uh-huh. No, they don't realize, well, it's a lot easier to sell a dream than it is to actually sell, you know, hey, this is going to be so easy. This is going to be, you know, really, really simple. But again, and I'm not even, if you're a grown ass man, you know, you can blame the people on YouTube selling stuff, the people on Facebook selling stuff. I mean, it's not limited to YouTube. Trust me. It's on
absolutely not.
It's on TikTok. You're also, if you're, you know, it reminds me of there's an old joke that, you know, where the guy was, you know, this horrible, wretched witch, you know, came up to this guy on a golf course, and you know, this lady just pustular, you know, acne and just awful and horrible, foul smelling. And she says, look, I'm a princess trapped in this horrible body. I had a spell cast on me, and if you'll take me and make love to me, I'll revert to a beautiful princess, and you'll have you know untold riches. And so the guy said, well, okay. And so he went and he did the thing with her, you know, in a little thicket there off the golf course, and you know, so the guy's like, so when they got done, he's like, when do you turn into a princess? And old lady looked at him and says, aren't you a little old to believe in fairy tales at this point? So, you know, and I tried to clean that up more than I typically would. You know, so, and you know, Bobby, that's the funny part is I don't go on to other people's podcasts and run my mouth. So it's kind of interesting. Just thought that was pretty.
Don't even care.
Anyway.
Hey, you know, go ahead.
So, but so at some point you actually do need to, if you are buying something on the internet, you need to go out and verify what it is you're buying. You have to say, is this too good to be true? Mm-hmm. Now, I don't want to get into just the whole issue of, you know, bad, don't buy things. What I want to, what Doug and I really want to talk about tonight is bad things are coming. This is eerily similar to the crash.
And I want to touch on something that I think will help you in this upcoming what I see as the downturn.
100%. so this right now, our economy is incredibly similar to both the tech bubble in 2000 and then also the Great Recession in 2009, which the Great Recession in 2009 actually started back in 2007. So,
yeah.
Now, what people don't realize is we had this weird thing called COVID. You there? You saw your mom on your mama's phone? Oh, me? Okay.
I thought you were going to bed. Good night, Mr. Finn.
So it's actually gone and postponed kind of the inevitable coming out of here, because we do get into recessions about every 10 years or so. And this COVID has pumped so much money into the economy. And like what Todd Wazakowski just said, hey, his residential kind of slow. Commercial has been off the chain, So when we saw that actually this whole past year, in 2020, whenever COVID first came out, our commercial went boom. I mean, down. It took a nosedive. Our residential
skyrocketed. Same here.
It wasn't even a gradual curve. I mean, it just took off. People were furloughed. People were staying at home. They had to work from home. They were
looking at their houses.
We've had a couple of rounds of extra cash coming out there, right? So people had money and they were at home going, oh, my house is nasty. Now my Florida State, my hospital, my things are going, oh, we don't know what's going to happen here. We've got to pull back a little bit. Then 2021, the residential, it wasn't as good. It leveled off some as people went back to work. Our commercial went, just absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Because again, so much government money and money that pressure washing could be used for sanitizing, things like that. I mean, just absolutely insane how and then now 2022, from the numbers that I've seen, kind of similar, and our commercial has done very, very, very well. Residential, though, has really started to taper off here over the past 6 months or so.
But, and one of the things to that point is that one of the things I've noticed in my area, I'm seeing not advertisements. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of people in the groups that are like the local groups. Okay. Like we have Ascension Parish or Ascension County, if you would. And so I'll see in Baton Rouge County or Baton Rouge Parish, I'm seeing different ads where people are saying, I'm looking for somebody that cleans houses. And so you think, okay, they're talking about the outside of the house, but they're not. I'm seeing a lot more that nowadays they're talking about cleaning the inside of the house instead of that. More people are looking inside because they're staying inside. They're not, even though COVID's over, in my opinion, kind of. A lot of people have transitioned to being in the house, and
right.
I'm seeing and I'm hearing a lot more about the exterior cleaning on residential being just down and dead. Yet I'm seeing all these upticks for interior cleaning and interior, I don't want to say sanitizing and all that, but the other key factor that I think is happening right now, and it's been happening for many years, and I'm one of the guys that kind of misses the boat on it a little bit because I'm a personable person, right? I like to go and meet. But I think if you're gonna make it further, even though, and this is going to go against a lot of what I've said in the past, you need to look at having that online shopping cart, if you would. There are a lot more people that want to transition to just doing everything online with you and not having to ever even touch you, talk to you, deal with you, smell you, any of that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Okay. So I think you're going to need a much bigger mix of both nowadays, because I do think that a lot of people are transitioning to, I just want everything online. Don't want to talk, smell, nothing.
That is true. That is true. I mean, that's people have gotten a lot more used to the ease
online
of
shopping,
ordering the what do you call the restaurant, the Instacarts, the Door Dashes and things like that. So you need to beef up your online presence is there.
Carlos is asking, is the residential customer different today versus pre-COVID? Discretional spending, what more, they want more for less. I definitely think that we're looking at a different customer base. pre-COVID, I think was a lot more. I mean, I guess the best way to say it is more of an outgoing, and just like I said, maybe not even as much of the online shopping, and you know, even with the labor statistics that we're dealing with, right? I mean, a lot of people saying there are no jobs out there, and yet the employers are saying there's no employees out there.
Right.
And if you look at a lot of the graphs and charts and statistics and all that, it's saying that, you know, people that are quitting the jobs, they're not. Okay, it's pretty level. The amount of jobs that are available, pretty level. You know, a lot of these things are leveling, but there's the complaints are just all over the place.
But we're also seeing, though, like some of the large companies. So we're starting to see the Teslas, Twitter's a little bit of a weird thing. New York Times. So we are starting to see some large companies implement huge layoffs out there.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that over the past couple of months. We're like, yeah, we don't need these 4,000 freaking work. I mean, Amazon just laid off like 8,000, 9,000 people.
Right. I think it was Facebook themselves laid off like 15,000. I'm making the number up, but I think it was 15, something like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, so you're starting to see these kind of layoffs out there where we literally could not find employees over here. But a lot of this is also because there has been so much money out there. There's a lot of people that working side hustles or they've just been very complacent and taking, unfortunately firmly locked upon the government teat, and the government teat has a lot of money out there, but then we're starting to see that getting pulled back, and that's where we're really starting to see the pressure on the job market. So,
and we're seeing this economy just go, crazy, really.
Well,
we're seeing that the price of milk is skyrocketing. The price of bread
are nuts. I mean,
I can tell you, Ray, I went to the grocery store. I don't go to the grocery store that often. My wife does that most of the time. But the last 2 times that I've been there, walking past the eggs and had the comment, I went to get eggs. And then the people that were standing, I can't believe it. There's no way I'm paying $5 or $8 for a dozen eggs. I mean, and you're looking at the price scale and the difference in the eggs and just how much they cost. And the next time I go past the eggs, and it's like, I cannot believe the price of these eggs, And so, you used to get a 12-pack of eggs and it'd be like 99 cents or 89 cents.
$1.89. I mean, seriously, like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, they were $1.89, $2 or so. And now, if you go buy the farm raised kind of free range chicken eggs, they're $7 a dozen. I mean, it's downright shocking. And it's absolutely crazy. God, there is so much amazing comments.
Good comments coming in. Yeah.
We could,
I feel like we are moving towards the boots on the ground marketing where referrals, word of mouth, and networking will be key to many businesses. I agree with that, but I also, that's where I'm also saying that's where I come from. I would rather do it that way, but I'm also saying that you should start also looking towards the online shopping thing. It's there, it's real. We gotta. We should. I don't want to embrace it. I don't really want.
Yeah, I don't either. But that's one of the things that we want to talk about here. And so we fussed here for about 30 minutes or so. And so I want to, somebody's, Brian McGowan, brilliant. Yes, he is. Busier than ever. Life is good. New companies are forming post-COVID, meeting that residential price is happening more and more from the newer companies. That residential price, we're going to, and I'm worried about the upcoming price battles, because it always winds up happening before that great fall out there. There will be. And yes, Elon fired half of Twitter, home service industry. Absolutely. Joe makes a very poignant thing here. There is no magic pill for success. You can buy all the tools and training you want, but when it comes down to hard work, common sense, and willing it, build and hone your craft. 100%.
Well, if you watch all of this show, we're going to guarantee you $1 billion in sales next year. All you have to do is, okay, wait, reset.
So hold on, look, Perry, and Perry's one of the smart ones out there. Kim on Rumble today was interviewing Stu Peter about the high disability and working people from CDC and insurance company data. So it's possible there's a missing population of workers. Yeah, it is. And that was actually one of the interesting things about even out the US unemployment figures out here, because there's been a lot of people that have left the workforce over the past like 3 years since COVID started. And whenever you leave the workforce, you're no longer counted in the unemployment figures. And these are people that might be doing the jobs like picking up dog poop, pressure washing, et cetera, et cetera. But whenever you go and leave that, you're no longer part of the unemployment. So there's been a ton of people who have left it for greener pastures, but unfortunately they're going to have to, come back on that.
Always.
Yep. I buy eggs because I'm a baller.
I got to get chickens because I'm not,
I love my chicken. My chickens actually bring me peace. I have 9 girls, and they're amazing.
We haven't had chickens in about 3 years now. I think we got to get some more.
Yep. And so, and Steve is one of these guys with the sales guy. He can say that boots on the ground has also gotten harder than he ever remembers it being, at least.
Yeah, exactly. People don't want to necessarily, even, and there is no generational thing on this. Okay. To me, this is a reflection towards, what happened with COVID. And that is, and a lot of it, I think, is that the media putting that fear into people. Okay. And so for me, a lot of people, regardless of the age bracket and all that, they don't want to meet and talk anymore. They don't necessarily want to shake hands. A lot of the handshaking has gone to fist bumps. People are finally getting away from the elbow bumps, but they're really transitioning to the fist bump. They don't necessarily want to meet and greet anymore. And so I'm a meet and greet. I like to go out and I'm going to outsell, going and doing it face to face, one-on-one. But I'm definitely seeing that people just don't want that nowadays, or as much of that. And maybe it's a 50-50 thing. So I definitely wouldn't give it up, but I would definitely set it up to where you can accommodate those that want to do the online shopping kind of a thing. So Dougie Doo, I've wondered about for the longest, what's the story behind the taxi topper behind you? Well, I was trying to set up a studio, and I like to move things around a whole bunch because I just thought it was interesting. So I would put different things up, but I never really got the studio thing going. And so what a lot of people don't know is that I've been in a business a very, very long time. One of the things I started off on in business was buying and selling junk. I had fractured my back. I couldn't work, when I was younger, and I had a never give up, never die attitude. And so I started buying and selling junk. Well, I ended up way before storage wars and all that. I started buying and selling storage units. And shortly after I sold Cajun Soft Wash, I went out and I started looking at buying storage units. I bought a storage unit specifically because it had that, and it said off duty.
Nice.
So I left it up there because I'm off duty.
I will never forget my dad and I did that. This is probably 20 years ago. And I think the last time we did it, we wound up buying and it was like one of these lots, like where you bought one, you bought 5 or something. And this guy had a magazine that had gone out of business. And it was literally all of the backstop of his magazines for like 5 storage units.
Wow.
Of just boxes of old back copies of his magazine that he could never sell. No. And we wound up losing hundreds and hundreds of dollars just in absolute trash fees. Nobody would even take it for recycling. It was like a glossy paper, and nobody recycled the glossy paper at that time. It was great. Mm-hmm. So Jacob works for food. Yeah, I can see that. Doing the flyer, not good at the Google thing, but hey, whatever works. I love the OnlyFans comment. If I had, people ask me why I always post funny things, because I'm not hot enough for a OnlyFans. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Hey, Rusty, hope you're doing well. Exactly. People need to get back to learn the art of hustling, because it really did happen. And I just wrote this in my book that I'm writing. But gone are the days where you go onto Facebook and basically put, I have a pressure washer, and you get 10 calls out there, because that's what's been happening for the last 2 years. Probably the year before last, than more so than last year. But really, there's that many people wanting to get you know, their stuff washed. And it was really easy pickings and low hanging fruit. Now, here's the bad news that I see happening. Before people, typically before people wind up realizing they can't hang anymore, what's going to happen is they're going to start fighting on price. And they'll go from that 150, 125 to 100 to 99 to 75 to 65 out there. It's going to happen. You're going to see prices.
It's already happening.
And somebody said, we'll see this March through May, what winds up happening this year. I hope to God they're right, and that we see an amazing, pollen-filled spring and people washing like crazy. I'm going to retract a lot of this if that is what we see. But the tenets of what we're talking about tonight, I think, hold true. But you are going to see price wars out there. And remember, what happens during a price war, there's 3 areas that are not typically affected like during recessions. But number one is the poor people. Because poor people have poor ways. They're used to being
always poor.
There's always room for the value proposition out there. I don't care who you are. There's always going to be a room for it. And there might actually need to be more people taking that value proposition.
I think that's going to be true too, because of the economy issues that we're having.
Homeowners are going to
have to make more to get less. So I can see that more happening on the lower side. I
went and looked at Tanya and I were talking about buying something last week, and we said, well, hell, what the hell? We hadn't looked at financing anything in quite a while. And I went and called my banker and talked to him, hell, honestly, a year and a half or so since I gave him a boatload of money to hold for me. And I said, yeah, let's talk about getting a loan on this. And he said, yeah, for that, it's going to be about 8%. And I'm like, what? It was 3% last time I wanted to borrow money from him. He's like, yeah, he goes, and stuff he goes, and it's just getting worse. Fed's going to raise again out there. So costs are going up for people. Luckily we're in a position where like, we'll just pay cash for it. No biggie. We're just thinking about using, going the smart way and using your money, for a change out there. I talked to somebody today whose business is primarily financed. They do a home improvement business. And he said, first off, their call volume is down by 50% where it was last year. Second off, their close ratio is down by like 90%, because most of their deals were financed with second mortgages or home improvement type loans. And those rates have gone up so much that it's pricing people out of the market because of the interest rates, So
I want to touch on this one too. Carlos is asking, as a leader in the industry, how does one shift the trend, or can it be shifted? And I don't know that it can be shifted, Carlos. I don't think Carlos is a great leader in the industry to begin with. And I'm going to throw a quick plug in there for the Cleaning Industry Summit. If y'all haven't heard of the Cleaning Industry Summit, it's something Carlos puts on in Cabo San Lucas every year. Amazing event. You should definitely go to it. It's more of a business thing, very, very small. It's geared towards the hustle, if you would. But Carlos, I don't know that we can. I think it's going to have to play itself out. And what I mean by that is simply that, it is simply the guys selling the dream. That's where I think the gold rush is ending. And it's the dream rush, realizing that the gold rush is gone. I think that there has been a strategic change, whether it's, because of COVID, because of political tensions, I mean, discretionary spending seems to me to be way down, where companies are spending more. That's why if you're not doing commercial work, you really should be looking at it, I feel like, because I think commercial spending is up where discretional residential spending is going down, and I think it's going to continue down through the rest of this year. That's why I think a lot of guys are going to see the gold rush ending, simply because they've positioned themselves to do too much residential and not be able to lean on commercial. I also think that, you know, the guys that hustle and do it, they're the ones that are going to be there. I think the professionals, and you know, we get comments sometimes about the if you are, man, I just saw the comment and it's escaping me, but you know, the guys that are doing all oh, that's what it was. Talking about having multiple crews out there, right? Not all areas are like that. Like I know Cajun Softwash. Cajun Softwash has multiple crews, and they're still among the higher priced companies out there. And the people still see their value, and they know their value, right? So, but it's again, it's that foundation that you build and that you maintain on your way up, and you have to maintain standards, and you have to show that value to people within those standards.
Right. Now, and going back to what I'm talking about, and Ryan is talking exactly about it. So the three areas that I said are going to get impact or are not impacted: poor, lower income. Okay. Then 2, specialty services. And well, actually, how about this? Specialty services. Because
hold one up.
And then high income. High income is going to do what high income wants to do. And they may get impacted, but they're still going to have disposable money. They're not going to let their $2 million house they're still going to have the oil changed and their $200,000, $150,000 sports car, et cetera, et cetera. And then specialty services are always a sub market out there. So you've got 3 unique specializations: upper end specialty services and lower income that probably won't get, but it's the middle income where actually a lot of us get our market from, though.
That's where most of it comes from.
That's where a lot of us will get out there, you know. And somebody saying, you know, Goya, get off your 100% agree, you know.
I'm going to say, I told you pre-game that I had a real good conversation with a young gentleman today. I think the world of him. I think he's got great places he's going to go and all that. But, you know, he was the one that told me he doesn't get up off of his butt, and you know, he has some laziness to him. And, you know, he's asking advice on stuff. And I'm like, I can't give you advice to get out of lazy. I can't. Right. I mean, you at some point in time, you have to Goya. You have to get off your ass and you have to do something. If you don't, that's where that dream is coming in. Right. You can dream. It's great to dream. It's great to have dreams. Right. But you still got to get out of bed at some given point in time.
That's interesting that Tommy says, so the guys with more crews that are killing single owner operators by dropping their prices to get the volume of sales, in turn hurting others. Where in our market, it's actually the bigger guys with the more crews can't afford to go down lower. They won't work for any amount of loss whatsoever, but we're seeing the single owner operators that aren't getting the calls out there willing to do $65 driveways. I mean, it's an interesting dynamic, but then again, that's the difference between, you know, you're still in the middle of winter up there, I'm assuming, Tommy, and, you know, we're cleaning driveways here. Noticing homeowners putting up no soliciting sign around here. Solar and roof guys are knocking like crazy. People dislike door knockers. How else can you hustle without, you know, I tell you, that's a nice quiet door hanger, and don't knock on the door and just keep on walking. And you know, it's less, I don't know, trashy to me than slinging a rock in somebody's driveway or a clip in somebody's driveway. You're actually walking up there. If they open the door, you get the chance to talk to them. So let's see what's write-ups are, you know, Chad has a comment here about price estimator tool. I've never seen one of those that works. Yeah. I'm sorry.
HOA write-ups are driving residential work lately around my area. Add that to my regulars, and residential is busier. Commercial is below average, but steady.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, yeah, you know, and Michael lives in Central Florida. Yeah, you know. So that's interesting. And see, that is an amazing number right there. And a lot of us guys, like Gene O'Neill, I hadn't seen him on tonight, but a lot of us used to do property preservation for banks on there, and they have really gone and stayed the foreclosures over here for the past 3 years at this point. With COVID, foreclosures are going to start being a thing again. You're going to see them, you know.
I'm seeing a comment here. Cabo is pure gold. I'm gonna click on one. This is I see now he put his name in there. It's Chet Hingle. So yep. Residential washing is more of a luxury than grass cutting. He's right. And he's joking. He's going to go ahead and buy himself a lawnmower. He is right. Where you look at grass cutting is more of a I'm going to use the word need than the house washing side of it. Though I think that the two industries are extremely similar in that you can. You could do the same thing in the soft wash, pressure wash industry as what happens in the grass cutting industry arena, where you see one truck will have 4 doors and a lot of equipment and a lot of guys, and they got lots of work, and they're not cheap. Okay. But then you have the single guys and all that. So there's room for everybody in that market. And I don't think just because because I do think we're looking at some price wars coming up. I think that's part of the end of that gold rush. Right? But I don't think you have to drop your prices in order to deal with any of that. I think you maintain what you're doing, your quality, your intake. I think all of those things are going to stay the same because people still see it. The only shift that I see, the only difference that I see is that you might look at, as much as I've hated to say it, but allowing them to have an online portal to be able to get the service from you versus them having to actually deal with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think it'll probably be a 50-50-ish mix.
You know, and one of the things that want to talk about as far as keeping us busy and keeping us going is, you know, you need to treat your here's one of the things that where I honestly see the YouTube guys mess up. Because I see a lot of, you know, from the classes that I've seen, courses, whatever, it's all about advertise on Facebook and advertise on Google and put yard signs out. And you know what? The most important thing you can get out there and do is remember to treat your customers like gold. Get a CRM. Remind people who you are. I had a gentleman in the office today, and he's like, well, yeah, you know, I'm coming up on the 1-year anniversary of me being in business, and I'm going to start sending emails out. And I was like, dude, you have so missed the boat here for the last 11 months. You should be sending emails out to these people quarterly, thanking them for your business, reminding them who you are.
Absolutely.
Letting them know that you're there for their friends and family. I mean, this is the kind of things that this is what we do with a CRM. This is what somebody
and you know what that does, Ray?
What's that?
You know what that does? That sets you apart from your competition.
Yeah. Bingo.
Because so many people aren't doing that. They're not there. And I don't even understand it, right? Because it's so easy with a CRM today.
Yeah.
And it's still, you can personalize those things so much so. We got somebody in our market that's doing exactly that. And he sent me something to look at a while back, and I'm still getting emails from the CRM system. And I love it. I think it's great for what he's doing.
I took him home.
Ray is about to give his old house.
Apparently, my daughter wants to start cooking meth. She's looking for the Sudafed.
She wants to start. Is that why she's missing teeth?
No, I guess No, I gave them all my cold.
I guess I can't come there again. She's gonna kick me.
The backseat of your mom's car. I'll get it in a minute. This is Brittany. She's single.
And she's only missing a few teeth.
Exactly.
What is that?
And you're only missing a few teeth.
I have a lot of
Oh, come show us your beautiful smile now. Come on.
So anyway, we need to treat these customers like gold. I mean, it's you never want to be one and done in this business, guys. Everybody has family or friends, and this is where people, they just forget. They just forget what they're doing. You send people before and afters of their house, and they will literally. Oh, now the other daughter's calling.
I want to, let me, while you're taking that, let me.
It's just my daughter. It's the other daughter. They forget, you send them before and after pictures. They'll literally show their friends or coworkers going, oh my
Absolutely.
gosh, look what Cajun Soft Wash did to my house. I didn't even realize. Look at my deck.
And that happens all the time.
Yes, it does.
So, Wesley, this is the hardest question. And it's something that it's one of the reasons I never wanted to move towards the online only. Okay. I know several guys that do the online only kind of a thing. So with an online shopping cart, how could you effectively do your pricing? I don't know that you really can. You can, okay, but there's always going to be issues that arise because there's going to be things you can't see, do, or know. And I think this is where, I hate to say disclaimers have to come in a little bit. And this is where you have to, I think, rely back on your technicians when they show up. I think, and I hadn't thought about this till just now, Wes, but this is one of those things where your guys should know ahead of time whether it was an online proposal or it was an actual site visit proposal. Okay, because I think there's a huge difference between the two. And when they get there for the actual job, this is where, to me, I guess, and this is just thoughts coming through my head, Wesley, that for me, if I do an online shopping cart type of a thing, it will be an estimate versus if I come out and do it in person, it's a proposal. We are going to factually do the job for this price. However, if it's an estimate, then it could change. Maybe that's the way around it.
World will do your job for X amount, unless you've got the koi pond, unless you've got the Nandina, unless you've got et cetera, blah, blah. And you've got to have disclaimers like crazy, And
maybe a questionnaire that you send out to them, but you can never get all of the questions.
And it might even be where they have to upload pictures to you. I mean, what's wrong with asking them? And Stephen brought up a great, Stephen came in and we were fixing a pump the other day, and Stephen wound up taking over. I mean, Stephen's such an amazing guy, and he's got a good sized company here in Tallahassee. And I've watched him since he got into business, and he's been, first time we ever talked, he needed something for a 12-volt relay or something. I just snatched one off, but he's amazing. And he's Steven's just a fantastic guy. And there's a guy from Thomasville who's a preacher and has a power washing business. And the guy's like, well, dude, what do I do? And I literally heard Stephen tell him this: what CRM are you using? Keep track of your customers. Literally heard that advice. It wasn't to me. It was to the guy that's still washing out there. And they're in crossover markets. And Stephen said, what are you using? You've got to keep in contact with it, it's so important. Somebody said something good about me. Hold on. Ray hit the nail on the head. People's pockets are not as full as they used to be. If the stock market goes down, you mean goes downer. Tighten up the customer, because I'll tell you what, my retirement account's down about 50% right now from the main tweeter.
Mine dropped about 40%.
Yeah, treat your business like a marathon, not a sprint. Things don't always happen right away. You have to put in the work. Otherwise, you're just pretending. Yeah.
You know what, Charles? I am not going to listen to your wife again. You're pretty smart.
Yep, exactly. Does Doug? A lot of the disclaimers, the online estimates had to be reviewed, verify the amount quoted. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. So Damien's a relatively new guy, and he just went in there full force at it too. Understand, Damien had a real job, a good real job too, long-term real job, and he just decided to make the jump into full-time washing. 3 text messages to his circle, got him 2,800 in commercial jobs in the last 10 days with 1,000 repeating monthly and another 750 quarterly.
That's
Bravo.
awesome, dude. That is awesome.
System follow-up drip emails already scheduled.
And you would be surprised to find out how effective, I would not have thought so, but how effective texting really is. I can tell you that there have been many times where, you know, you have a customer, they're not home, nobody's opening the door, whatever. You try phoning them, you try emailing them, nothing happens, but you send them a text and boom, everything changes.
Yep.
I've had customers that we were having trouble getting money from, sent them multiple emails, went by their house and left cards, called them, you know, no reaction, no anything. And then all of a sudden you send them a text, boom, it's done and it's paid for, it's taken care of. Estimates are the same thing. I don't like to do business that way. I just don't. But I also know that the market is changing and headed a little bit, shifting somewhat in that direction. I don't know that I could do it, to be honest with you. I just don't, that because that's not me and that's not my style. I would probably hire somebody to do that position for me because that's not me.
You know, Perry made a great comment here. A lot of guys are trained to think in terms of margin profit, like percentages. However, difficult times, the hustlers think of dollar profit. Every dollar is a dollar. All time is money as long as you're working. Mm-hmm. Perry, 100% true. 100%. You know what? No, there's an old saying out there in business. Nobody ever went broke making a profit. As long as you're still making a profit, you're not going broke. Chris Coonsey, you're going to be a guest on here very soon. I understand. We talked about that and talk about some of your trials and tribulations. You know,
man, you've had a ton of them too, boss. I can tell you if there's anybody that should be an uplifting story, it would be Chris Coonsey. I tell you, the man has just had so many things that have gone wrong, and he keeps pushing and pushing. And man, God bless you and Godspeed, all that. The heart attack thing, man, at your age, it's just like, wow, dude.
You know, Vince, and it's even a lot, like what Vince is saying, a lot of guys don't know how to change out an O-ring or know a wrench from a screwdriver, doing more repairs on equipment now than ever for guys. Vince, 100%. And not only that, these are guys that they don't know the marketing. The only thing they know is about the rig that they've bought. They don't
even know the rigs that they bought, Ray.
Well, no,
they know that they spent
$1,500,
but that's all they know.
Stronger, but there's no actual markings on how strong the bleach is there because nobody else has bothered to put that on any of their magic boxes or whatever it was called earlier. But you're right. They don't understand equipment and they don't understand business. And guys, we've got to have a basic understanding of, and I'll tell you what, would I rather have a basic understanding of business or equipment? I'd rather have a basic understanding of business, to be real honest, because you need to do that.
I like this one from Sean. Sean, if you don't know who he is, Sean Gross is he has actually started the cleaning classroom. He'll be going around doing the F9 trainings all across the country. But anyhow, how about offer your customers a $50 grocery card if they share the before and after pictures that you email to them or on their social media and tag your company. I like that a lot, and especially because we were talking earlier about the cost of groceries and eggs being $5 a dozen and, you know, all that kind of thing. I think a grocery gift card would be a very good way to market your services nowadays. I think that's we talked about these kinds of things before, but I don't think we've really ever pushed the grocery side of things. What did you do right now? I got to sneeze.
Oh, sorry. I caught this crud, you know, and seriously, I caught this crud I think it was last Monday. I think I told you, I was like, well, because we're kind of talking about coming on. And I was like, I'm feeling like crap. And this thing it's gotten legs and hung around on me. Oh, look at there. It's one of my Tallahassee boys, you know?
There you go.
And, you know, and Doug, you mentioned this earlier. I think if you're purely residential, you're kind of missing the boat. You know, we know that commercial has some more legs out there. It's yours to lose whenever you become commercial. There was somebody, and I'm not going to mention any names, but he was on here earlier. He's doing an apartment community here in Tallahassee. He's from 120 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to store his equipment at my house, and he's welcome to do so. And he's in with a ownership group of apartments, and they're not bidding him out, and they're going to come over here. It's going to be a five-figure job, and they're not saying, hey, give us a bid and see if you win this. They're telling him, hey, go here and watch that. And I know he does the same thing in Pensacola, he told me when we had lunch the other day, and I just, this commercial stuff is not a bad place to be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think I saw a different comment on here that I wanted to make a
I love it when I hit guys from Tallahassee messing with each other.
Oh,
they're just that Stephen and Anthony. They're good friends, and they're just messing with each other. Lordy. So they don't understand the trade within itself. Trades like plumbers, electricians have to have 5 years of minimum to learn that trade. The industry is taught by content creators that have no skin. Tommy, you couldn't be more right.
And there's a lot of it out there. There really is.
Oh, God, those two. But and I want to, and we probably do need to wrap this up. But Proverbs, they're talking about gird your loins, and the biblical context of the gird your loins is. Is too the biblical here I am talking about biblical, and they're getting all the whole gird your loins basically means because everybody used to wear tunics, and it's tuck your tunic up and tie it up so it's not getting in your way. That's the whole import of gird your loins. It's now time to gird our loins. We're going to be in for a tough row of things. And I'll always go back to this. Remember right now, people, it might be tough going residentially. And that's going to be for North Florida up to, Tommy's area, because they're probably under 18 foot of snow up there and in Pennsylvania. But if I wanted to go out in the Gulf of Mexico right now and catch a cobia, it does not matter how many eels and lead heads and feather jigs that I threw, and I could stop by every buoy, and the fishermen of the group who've ever fished for cobia will understand this. I could go from every channel marker from Destin down to Tampa. I'm not going to catch a cobia because the cobia are not here. It's not necessary. Now, that's not saying might not be a rogue cobia swimming around a wreck somewhere, and I may catch him. That's kind of how your residential is right now. Okay. It's not residential season, January, February in most of the world, Now in North Florida, South Georgia, we'll start seeing that come in March whenever the pollen starts coming out. The rest of the world, April, May. If you're not busy in April and May, you're doing something wrong, or the world is seriously going to wobble on its axis again.
Sorry, I'm going back and I'm reading some of the comments, trying to make sure. I mean, there's so many great comments in here. Just trying to make sure
we're very engaged.
We captured a good number of them before we clip out.
Chris saying he's seen all his equipment rigs for sale this year has definitely gotten to a whole different level from what I've seen. A lot of guys thought this was easy, learned the hard way real fast, unfortunately. Yeah, 100%. There's been so many people selling rigs and selling equipment out there, and it's awful. I mean, I hate it. And I've actually, just told people in my store, you don't need to buy something. You need to go with a Simpson and try this out. You don't need to get a trailer built. I mean, I'm the anti-salesperson out there because it's been horrible. The money's been cheap, and people have been just encouraged to, if you'll go buy this $19,000 hunk of aluminum stuff that sits in the back of your truck, you're going to make easily $300,000 a year here. And it's just, nobody's easily ever made $300,000 a year. That's nice comments. Casey, that's amazing. Casey's another one of our local guys with Panhandle.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very much so.
I'm kind of amazed that Comet's warrantying something, I was actually telling Casey today, and you'll appreciate this, Doug, that anybody that's long-term on here will understand this. Back in, say, 2015 or so, anybody that was like the long-term washer had already gone out there and tried the Udors, the Comets, and the ARs and said, oh my gosh, they're not reliable enough for us on a daily basis. I'm saying in general, there's some guys that absolutely love them. And then a year and a half ago, amazingly, somehow, they caught footing again.
They had lots of problems.
And they caught footing again. They got popular, and now you're starting to see people with them. And we literally get them in weekly with people having huge issues in them in the store. And Casey's one of those guys that's had massive problems with it. Mm-hmm. So, Doug, what other comments you see we need to talk about?
I think we caught pretty much. I mean, there's so many great comments in there. And again, guys, before we get out of here, just want to thank you all for being here. And 2023, we hope to see good things with you. But we just really appreciate y'all being there. And there's so many great comments today, and we really appreciate you.
And you guys also want to talk about, look out here at the end of February. We'll be bringing Plant and Property to Orlando. Still working on the details of that over at the PWMCA gig end of February. That's going to be the next big event that I know of that's coming up. So I would love to see y'all there. Really good lineup that Jamie and the guys over there have put up. So
Merry Christmas, sir.
Merry Christmas to you. Thank y'all all for listening. We sure appreciate y'all's time. And again, like we were just talking about, gird your loins. I mean, this is the time where your old customers, treat them, just in recap, old customers, treat them like gold. If you're not using a CRM, if you're not asking for the referral, if you're not reminding people who you are. I mean, at one point here, I went through my mail sitting here, and I was looking down. I wanted to see if I could see a newsletter. Get a digital newsletter. Get something sent out to people. Somebody earlier had mentioned about ResponsiBid. We hate you too, Tommy. A digital newsletter. Somebody mentioned ResponsiBid. Get with Bobby Walker. He's a big ResponsiBid pimp. He's a great guy to talk to about ResponsiBid. He'll certainly give you a little time out there about how he uses that product. I will also say this, though, even with ResponsiBid or any of these things, nothing ever beats, though, just like Doug said, a text, a personal phone call, a personal email. Even if you're using your CRM to do it, though, that personal connection is what's so important.
Absolutely.
And that's probably a little bourbon, Vince. It was. At least. Oh, guys, thank y'all. We'll see y'all next week. I'm glad we're getting back on this. So
appreciate y'all.
Bye.